All right, guys, good morning. It's a Monday. I'm back in KDU, and it's time for another installment. And today's video is about two very important elements in your gear that a lot of you may or may not be familiar with. First one is your recording media or your memory media, otherwise known as your SD card. All right. Now, a lot of you know that SD cards are, well, they're expensive. But you also realize that SD cards have different standards, okay? And a lot of these standards are usually described. I'm going to wear my spectacles. By the way, I'm using the Boya lapel mic that I recently purchased. Hopefully the sound is crystal clear. Okay, so if you look at the SD card here, I'm going to show it to you on screen. I don't think you can see it very clearly, but I will just give you a rough description of what is written here. The first one is your gigabyte. It is your size. You've got 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256. It goes in those multiples, all right? If you see an SD card with a different number, do not buy it, it's fake. Okay. In fact, nowadays, a lot of these SD cards that are being sold on the marketplace today, you don't know whether they're fake, especially when you buy it online. Okay. I have bought SD cards online that says 128 gigabytes. When I plug it into the computer, it says 128 gigabytes. When I plug it into the phone, it only shows 32. All right. So what's wrong? What's the deal here? Well, the deal here is that they're using substandard components inside, substandard chips. So sometimes it does or does not work. Now, to safeguard against that, a lot of these manufacturers like SanDisk, Kingston, and all of that, they give you a lifetime warranty. All right, especially the really good manufacturers. The problem here is all the manufacturers that give you lifetime warranties charge you a bomb for the SD card. Okay, so which one do you buy? The answer is buy the bomb. Buy the expensive SD card. And the reason for that is simple. This, ladies and gentlemen, earns you money. If you're shooting a product video, if you're shooting a commercial video, and you spend 1 week arranging everything, spending money, renting location, hiring actors, makeup artists, crew, you spend $20,000, every single piece of that $20,000 is going to be recorded on your SD card. Do you want to record it on a $5 card? No. You want the best quality, most reliable card that you can get. And to do that, it's actually straightforward. Google, get a review, find which ones are recommended, and stick with them. SanDisk is my go-to manufacturer. I'm not in any way affiliated to SanDisk, and I'm not going to make any money if you buy from SanDisk. But I do recommend that you get one from a reputable dealer. That means go to the camera shop, get a card, right? Buy a card from them. You can go to Gurney Plaza, you can go to any camera shop that you want, and get a receipt. The receipt is what you are going to need to claim damages. All right, that's rule number one. Rule number two, you need to keep the card and the packaging. This is the biggest mistake everyone makes. They take out the card, they throw the packaging away, and then you have problems claiming, okay? So here's my advice. Keep your receipt, fold it, stick it into this, and keep this somewhere safe for at least the duration of your warranty. Now, this is lifetime, so I keep my cards like this, stored in this position, vertically in a cupboard. Lots of SD cards, okay? But if you have only one SD card, then by all means, just put this in the bag, your camera bag, and just leave it there. Put the receipt inside. Now, let's look at the data on the SD cards again. Okay, so you've got your 32 gigabytes right there. The next number that is very important for you is the data rate. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but on top here, maybe later I'll take a photo of this and I'll just highlight a certain area. But that number on top says 80 MB/s. Okay? That stands for your data rate. 80 MB/s is 80 megabytes per second. You want a number that is fast. You do not want a card that says 10 megabytes per second, versus 80 megabytes per second. You want a card that is as fast as possible. Now that fast is important because you are going to use this to record video. Okay? When you press the record button, video is being recorded to the SD card. Unfortunately, it is more than 80 megabytes per second. So what the camera does is this. It has a buffer. It has a pail, all right, in the camera. Video goes in at about 100, 150, 200 megabytes per second, and then it releases 80 meg at the same time. So if you can visualize, 200 comes in, hang on, all right, 200 megabytes come in, 80 megabytes come out. You are eventually going to run out of buffer space. So if you want a really smooth and wonderful experience, get an SD card with a high data rate, as high as you can afford, okay? This is the SanDisk Ultra, okay? And they are pretty good. They give you 80 megabytes per second. 80 megabytes is not enough for 4K. If you're shooting in 4K resolution, you want to get one that's 120 or higher, okay? The prices increase, all right? More importantly, if you're shooting in 4K resolution, 32 gigabytes is not enough. You want at least 64 or 128, okay? And if you have only one SD card in your camera, then you are ill-prepared for production because you're going to need to shoot, fill up the card, transfer the file out, and while it's being transferred out, which could take an hour, you can't do anything. You're wasting time. Okay, so as a general rule, whenever I buy a new camera, I buy 2 new SD cards minimum. Okay, if I'm going on production, I have at least 10 SD cards, and each of my SD cards are numbered so that I know which one I've used, which one I've not used. I have an app on my phone that lets me record down all of this data, all of these facts. Okay, and when I was shooting a long time ago, I didn't have a smartphone. I had a normal Nokia. I used to carry with me a little notepad, and on that notepad I would write down my shootings, my activities of the day, just to remember what I've done and what I need to do next. Okay, all right. Now another number, and this one is pretty important, is you will see a small circle here with a number in it. Now this one says it is C. That circle, by the way, is a letter C, all right? And inside it, it has the number 10. Ladies and gentlemen, class 10, that's what it means. If your SD card is class 10, that means it's rated for video production, okay? If you have a class 4 card, it will never work for video. It won't be fast enough. I don't care what the number says here. This class refers to the technology that is inside the SD card. You want a class 10. Class 10 is designed for video. Now, at the moment of me recording this video, that would be the most pertinent information. But as you know, technology changes, and in 3 months, there could be a brand new classification, there could be a brand new transfer rate, there could even be a brand new SD card. Okay, type 1, type 2, type 3, I don't know. What I'm trying to teach you here, ladies and gentlemen, is to pay attention to what you are buying and why. Ask that question, why? Okay, your work will depend on the SD card. Okay, right. So I'm not going to talk further apart from one very interesting maintenance fact. Okay, if you look at the back here, you will see the pins. You see this brass. This some people say it's gold, but I suspect it's brass. Okay, either brass or copper. All right. Now these pins are statically charged. I won't say statically charged. They are sensitive to static charge. You do not want to take your finger, rub it on your shirt, and touch that. You are going to fry the SD card. Okay? Think of these points. In fact, think of any electrical or electronic contacts like this as sacred. You must never touch it with your bare hands. Which brings me to the next purchase, an SD card holder. All right? It's only $10 to $15. I don't have a sample here. I've got some at home. But it is a little case where you can put all your SD cards in a little sponge compartment and keep that case in your bag. Fantastic. Perfect. Put this in your pocket, get caught in the rain, moisture touches this card, and all of your video goes down the drain. If your video goes down the drain, all the money that you spent renting the location, hiring the models, which could run into tens of thousands of ringgit per day, could disappear. Okay? So please get into the habit of taking care of your SD card. Your livelihood depends on it. Cool? SD card. Now, there are some cameras that don't use SD cards. Some of them use micro SD cards. Some of them use compact flash, all different technologies. Your job is to learn the technical requirements, the speed, and the reliability of the card. Okay? This will be the only time I talk to you about SD cards because, quite frankly, it isn't rocket science. You learn it once, you will remember it for life. All right? Okay, moving on. The second component of today that I would highly recommend all of you have, okay, is this box. Well, actually, what's in the box. This, my friends, is an E27 light bulb holder. We have one here in KDU because I urged Mr. Aaron to get 6, okay? And the whole function of the E27 light bulb holder is to work as a backup plan. So let me explain to you what E27 is. See this hole? That is a screw bulb hole, which is identical to the bulbs that you use in your house. Okay, there are basically two variants. One is E27, the other one is E28. Okay, but if you're in Malaysia, chances are, and if you go to Tesco, you go to any shop and you want to buy an LED bulb, okay, you can screw it in here, mount this onto a light stand, plug this in, and you have a fully functioning video light. Okay, and I'm sure a lot of you right now are saying, but sir, it's not daylight calibrated. I can't control the intensity. I can't do a lot of things. Then I'm going to remind you that when filmmaking began, this is what they use. And they still managed to shoot a scene. Okay? Right. So, I am going to ask you to think about it. I'm going to ask you to think about two things. Thing number one, is the bulb good enough? Just think about that for a while. Number two, how do I make the bulb dimmer? How do I control the intensity of the bulb without turning a knob? You solve that problem and you are a global filmmaker on an international scale and you are experienced. In fact, every single gaffer and director of photography on the planet knows how to work with naked bulbs. That's right, folks, these are called naked bulbs, all right? Or they're also called incidental lighting. That means lighting in a scene. Let me give you an example. The next time you watch a movie in a room, in a house, or maybe a love scene, a dialogue scene, two people talking, you will see a table lamp somewhere around. You will see things illuminated in the scene. Those are E27 bulbs. Those are normal household bulbs. And they are still working in the scene. It's still lighting the area. All right? All right. Thought about it? Okay, here the answer. To reduce the intensity of this bulb, it's pretty simple. Move it away. Which brings me to the new word, inverse square law. Not going to explain it. It's too long. It's too boring. But if you type inverse square law with lighting, with regards to video lighting on YouTube, a lot of producers out there, a lot of people out there actually have already made tutorial videos about it. Okay, so I recommend you watch those videos, go find them, watch it, try to understand how moving the light away from a source can reduce the intensity of the source. Okay, and if you master that and if you understand how the distance is related to intensity, hence the inverse square law, you can light any scene on the planet with any light bulb at any time. That, ladies and gentlemen, gives you power. It gives you expertise. It gives you the ability to produce world-class content with anything. And that's what we want. Okay, that's what we want you to do. We don't want you to be so hung up on a particular brand of light, Godox, Endor, Ari. No, we want you to understand how light works, why it works, and then reapply that skill set. Okay, $45. It could be cheaper now if you buy it from Taobao, but I recommend that you have a whole bunch of this in your kit. And even if you don't use it, keep it there. All right, because this guy will come in handy one day. Okay, your expensive video lights, you turn it on, it blows. What do? You cry? You cancel everything? No, you've already spent money. You need to shoot. Whip these guys out, send your assistant to go to Tesco, buy a 200, 300, 400 watt LED bulb, stick it on, light the scene. Your audience won't know the difference. But you need to do some post-production work, color grading, color matching, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's the purpose of the next video down the line for regarding to Premiere Pro. Okay, so to recap today's video, SD card, understand, learn, and the E27 light bulb holder. Remember, these bulbs, this holder must be able to be screwed on to a light stand. You can put it vertically like this, or you can put it horizontally like this. Got it? That's the power of these guys. Thank you guys. I'll be making another video slightly later in the day when I have more energy and I finish my work. Adios.